A few weeks ago, I was walking around in New York City in my neighborhood with my daughter Yara. We walked by a homeless man and he asked us for money. I tried to remember if I had change in my wallet and I didn't think I did, so I just kept walking. I didn't get far though because Yara stopped me. She asked, "Pa, why did you ignore that man?" And I said, "Well, I didn't think I had change, so I just kept going." And she wasn't satisfied with that. Then she asked, "Well, could you look in your wallet?" So I did, and I had a $5 bill. I felt ashamed because the slightest of inconveniences, taking a few seconds to check my wallet, had stopped me from helping that man. To Yara, who's 5 years old, there's only one possible response when someone asks you for help. You help. All kids have a superpower. I don't mean the kind of power that comic book heroes have, power to fly or freeze time. I also don't mean the kind of power that parents dread, like the power to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning for an entire childhood. It's the power to help. And it comes from a deep desire we all have within us. As grown-ups, many of us have lost touch with that desire. But if you give a young child the chance to help, they'll take it, and they'll feel great about it. And if we can give an entire generation of children the power to help, we can change society for the better. I grew up in Sri Lanka, in the midst of a civil war between the Sinhala and Tamil communities. I didn't really belong to either side because I had a Tamil dad and a Sinhala mom. So in the south of the country, I had the wrong last name, and in the north of the country, I spoke the wrong language. When I was 10, civil riots broke out all over the nation, including in Colombo, where my family lived. Civilian mobs were roaming the streets, looking for Tamil people, and when they found them, they would beat them violently, and in some cases, burn them alive. It was brutal. My brother, Rajan, who is an incredibly thoughtful, kind, brilliant human being, was 15 at the time. He had gone to school that morning when the riots broke out before my parents had realized what was happening. And that was not a good day to be a young man with a Tamil-sounding name walking around the streets of Colombo. We could have lost him that day, but we didn't. And we were among the lucky ones. I want my daughter to grow up in a world where she doesn't need to be lucky to escape tragedy. I want her to grow up in a world where instead of hating each other, we help each other. And all kids do want to help. It comes from a deep, deep desire they have to feel like they matter, to feel a sense of belonging. They want to feel important. And there's nothing that helps a child feel important than being given the chance to help another child in need. 3 years ago, the Ventures team at UNICEF USA, working with an incredible group of partners, started to develop a new kind of technology that could tap into that desire kids have. We called it a wearable for good because it converted physical activity into social impact. We named the venture UNICEF Kid Power because it gives kids the power to literally save lives with every step they take. So here's how it works. Kids get active with a UNICEF Kid Power band, and they earn points. Points unlock funding from partners and parents and fans, and funds are used by UNICEF to deliver ready-to-use packets of therapeutic food to severely malnourished children all around the world. So the more kids move, the more points they earn, the more children they help. 2 separate studies found that kids who join Kid Power move more. They move a lot more, like 55% more, because while the novelty of a new tech gadget might last a week or two, the desire to do something that matters never fades, and it only grows over time. We heard about a 9-year-old in Sacramento who had joined Kid Power and then started insisting that her mom take her for walks after school every day. She wanted to walk more because she wanted to earn more points and unlock more packets of food to help more children. We heard about a 5th grader in North Carolina who started his own walking club because he wanted all his friends to join in so that together they could earn more points and unlock more packets and help more children. And these kids aren't just getting more active and healthy, they're also becoming globally aware. With Kid Power, they go on missions, which are virtual journeys to discover new places, including some of the very communities that are benefiting from their impact. They learn about Haiti and Burkina Faso and Pakistan, not as faraway places to fear or avoid, but as fascinating cultures to explore and understand. And that perspective will stay with them forever and inspire them to grow up, to create a more inclusive society that benefits everyone. And equally importantly, these kids are learning the value of helping. And they're understanding their place in their own communities and as agents of change with the power to make a difference and make the world a better place. We heard from a teacher in California who had a few students in her class from El Salvador. And those students hadn't been aware that severe malnutrition existed there. So they went home and talked to their parents about it, and they found out that some of their family members had also struggled with hunger. And those children felt powerful because even though they were just children, they were able to make an impact in their own community. We heard from a teacher in Georgia who had a student in her class who was homeless and living in a shelter. She didn't have a smartphone, but she kept a little notebook where she kept a tally of every packet of therapeutic food she unlocked. And every night she would share that with her family in the shelter. Can you imagine the sense of empowerment that child felt? Because even though she didn't have a home, she was able to help another child in need. We saw a local news clip out of Iowa where an entire school had joined Kid Power. And when one of their classrooms had unlocked their 150th packet of therapeutic food, that's one full course of treatment, that's enough to save one life. They screamed so loudly that the entire school heard. And one kid kept saying, "We just saved a kid, we just saved a kid." And we heard about a group of 5th graders in Oregon who had loved helping children around the world with Kid Power, but decided they wanted to do more. So they organized a food drive all by themselves. And they filled up an entire Subaru with food, and they had a parent drive it over to the local food bank. Kid Power is not just an idea, it's real. It's been proven to work in underserved communities, in schools without playgrounds, in classrooms without computers, for students who don't have a smartphone. In just 3 years, Kid Power has become one of the largest EdTech programs across US elementary schools. It's in 1,600 cities and towns in 49 states. Kid Power also has shown that it's desirable among affluent communities. 2 years ago, we launched Kid Power as a consumer product at retail, and it was an instant hit. Last year, it was named one of Time's 25 Best Inventions, and it's now become one of the best-selling kids' wearables ever brought to market. By tapping into kids' intrinsic motivation versus relying on rewards or entertainment or technology, Kid Power is succeeding where many others have failed. So far, we had almost 500,000 kids who've joined Kid Power. Together, they've walked over 100 billion steps, and they've unlocked enough packets of therapeutic food to deliver full courses of treatment to 52,000 severely malnourished children. That's 52,000 lives that have been saved by all these kids from all walks of life, from all across the country who've come together to make a difference. There are 2 billion children in the world today. That's 2 billion heroes with the power to help. Imagine the kind of world we could be living in if we could tap into that power and unleash that power within every child. That's the kind of world that I want my daughter Yara to grow up in. And I think it's the kind of world that we all want from our children. So, next time you see a child, ask her for help and watch what happens. Thank you.